You ever notice that the people who hold real power rarely rush? While everyone else scrambles to be seen, they remain silent, observing, calculating, waiting. They move slowly, yet somehow, the world bends toward them. It feels almost unfair, how their smallest actions create the biggest shifts. But this isn't luck. It's a hidden law of power, one that Niccolo Machiavelli understood centuries ago. A law that says the more you do, the less control you have. And the less you do, when done with purpose, the more the world obeys your rhythm. We live in an age that worships movement. Everyone is told to hustle, to speak up, to make things happen. We measure our worth by how busy we look and our power by how loudly we can command attention. But the truth? Most people aren't commanding anything. They're reacting, chasing, rushing, proving. Their energy is scattered across endless battles that never needed to be fought. Every notification feels urgent. Every challenge feels personal. Every silence feels uncomfortable. So they fill the gaps with noise, talking when they should be listening, moving when they should be watching, and acting before they've even understood what's really happening. And the result? They exhaust themselves trying to control everything, while those who understand the deeper law control them. Because here's what Machiavelli noticed, a truth hidden beneath centuries of politics and power plays. The one who rushes to act becomes predictable, and the predictable man can be manipulated. The more he moves, the more his intentions are revealed. The more he speaks, the more his weaknesses are exposed. Machiavelli studied rulers, generals, popes, men who built empires with words and silence. And he realized that real power doesn't come from constant motion. It comes from the ability to wait. The silent strategist never fights on every front. He lets others reveal their plans first. He listens until the noise clears, and when he finally moves, his single decision outweighs 1,000 impulsive ones. Because power is not in the number of actions, it's in the precision of them. Every move must mean something. Every word must serve a purpose. Most people don't lose power because they lack strength. They lose it because they can't stop spending it. And that's the irony Machiavelli saw. The hungriest for control always end up being controlled. But the one who restrains his hand, who chooses silence over reaction, becomes the one everyone else adjusts to. That is the beginning of real control, the moment you stop chasing it and start commanding it. Machiavelli's writings were never about chaos. They were about calculation. He understood that power isn't seized through noise but through timing, through patience that looks passive, but is anything but. In The Prince, he warned that the ruler who tries to control everything ends up controlling nothing, because power, like water, slips through the hands that grasp too tightly. The wise ruler instead holds still, allowing the tide to move first. He acts only when the moment itself demands his presence. That is the hidden law of strategic restraint. It says, the more selective your actions, the more amplified your influence becomes. A single move, made with precision, carries the force of 100 impulsive ones. A single silence held with confidence speaks louder than an hour of arguments. Those who understand this law use restraint not as weakness, but as weapon. Their stillness creates pressure. Their calm creates confusion. Their refusal to react forces everyone else to reveal their hand. Machiavelli once wrote, "He who seeks to deceive will always find someone who allows himself to be deceived." But he also knew the reverse was true. He who refuses to react becomes impossible to deceive. Because every manipulation feeds on reaction. Every trap depends on motion. But when you do less, when you observe instead of respond, you shift from being a piece on the board to the one moving the pieces. A king who moves rarely moves everything, because every step he takes carries the full weight of silence behind it. Every decision lands with the gravity of inevitability. Strategic restraint isn't inaction. It's control disguised as calm. It's the quiet confidence of one who knows that power is not taken. It's attracted. And those who master this hidden law don't chase control. They become the gravity around which others orbit. Power isn't just political. It's psychological. It's the silent agreement others make about who deserves to lead and who must follow. And that agreement is rarely based on strength, but on perception. Human nature is drawn to scarcity. What is rare feels valuable. What is withheld feels powerful. It's the same reason a whisper can silence a room, and why the person who says the least is often the one everyone listens to. When you do less, your actions carry more weight. Your silence forces others to fill it. And in their rush to understand you, they reveal themselves. This is the invisible leverage of restraint. When you speak too soon, you relieve the tension. You tell the world who you are before they've even had the chance to wonder. But when you pause, when you withhold, you create an aura of mystery that commands attention. People project meaning onto your stillness. They imagine depth where there might be none. They respect control because it's something most people secretly lack. Machiavelli understood that in every interaction there's a hidden power dynamic. The one who reacts loses control, because reaction means someone else dictated the tempo. The one who waits dictates that tempo. Their patience turns chaos into information. Their stillness becomes strategy. In today's world, this truth is even sharper. In workplaces, those who rush to prove their value are often overlooked, while those who remain calm under pressure, who choose their words with precision, are seen as leaders. In relationships, the one who responds instantly becomes predictable, but the one who takes time to think becomes magnetic, not because they're cold, but because they're in control. Even online, the principle holds. The more you post, the less each post matters. The more you chase attention, the less you command it. Scarcity multiplies perceived value, always. Every unnecessary word, every impulsive action, is energy leaked, power lost. Restraint, then, becomes a form of currency. It builds anticipation, and anticipation breeds respect. People confuse silence with submission, but silence is often strategy. It's the pause before the decisive strike, the breath before the verdict, the calm before the move that changes everything. That's why Machiavelli's law still applies centuries later. Because human psychology hasn't evolved beyond the hunger for mystery and control, and the one who can withhold, in a world addicted to noise, becomes the one everyone watches. Machiavelli's hidden law was never just about kings or rulers. It was about something far greater, the kingdom within. Because before you can control anything in the world, you must first learn to control yourself. Most people spend their lives reacting to opinions, to insults, to fear. They move through the world like leaves in the wind, pushed by every emotional current that passes through them. They confuse speed with strength and expression with influence. But the truth is simple. Power begins the moment you stop reacting. The one who controls his reactions controls the room. The one who can stay silent when provoked commands more respect than the one who must always respond. This is where strategic restraint becomes spiritual discipline. Because every time you resist the urge to defend yourself, every time you stay calm while others lose themselves, you reclaim the energy that most people spend recklessly. You keep what others constantly give away. Machiavelli's wisdom was not cold, it was clear. He understood that the strongest ruler is not the one who conquers others, but the one who governs his own emotions. When anger arises, wait. When fear whispers, observe. When pride demands a reaction, breathe. In that single breath, power is reborn. This is emotional economy, the art of spending your energy only where it multiplies, to speak only when your words will move something, to act only when the timing aligns with precision. And the paradox is beautiful. The less you react, the more influence you gain. The quieter your energy becomes, the louder your presence feels. People sense when someone is unshakable. They feel it in your stillness. That quiet certainty that no external chaos can touch you. It's not arrogance. It's alignment. It's the knowing that nothing outside of you is worth losing the inside for. Machiavelli's law of restraint, then, is not manipulation. It's mastery. It's the power that comes when you are no longer moved by impulse but by intention. Because the one who can rule his emotions can rule his destiny, and the one who moves last moves everything. The wisdom of Machiavelli wasn't meant to stay trapped in history books. It was meant to be lived, quietly, strategically, and with purpose. Because the same laws that guided princes and rulers centuries ago still govern human behavior today. Only the setting has changed. The castle has become the office, the throne room has become the meeting room, and the battlefield is now your daily life. So how do you live this law of strategic restraint in the modern world? It begins with the smallest moments. The next time someone disrespects you, don't react. Silence will do what words never can. It will make them question themselves while you remain untouchable. The next time someone challenges your authority, don't explain. Let your consistency speak louder than your defense. Because the one who must constantly justify himself reveals that his power depends on approval. And the next time you feel the urge to prove yourself, pause. Because that pause is where power is built. It's in that moment of stillness that you separate yourself from the crowd of the reactive. In business, restraint becomes influence. When everyone rushes to speak in a meeting, the one who waits, who listens, becomes the one people look to for direction. Your silence creates a vacuum that others fill with their own uncertainty. And when you finally speak, every word lands with force. In relationships, restraint becomes respect. You don't need to chase validation or fight for understanding. By remaining calm when emotions rise, you show strength that words could never express. In negotiation, restraint becomes leverage. The one who can sit comfortably in silence often wins without needing to argue. Because silence isn't empty, it's pressure. And most people can't bear it. Even in the digital world, this law remains undefeated. The more you post, the more you chase attention, the less your presence means. But the one who moves with purpose, who speaks rarely but meaningfully, commands attention effortlessly. Machiavelli would tell you, every reaction costs you energy. Every impulse reveals your position. Every unnecessary word weakens your presence. So learn to hold, wait, watch. Let silence work for you. Because in a world where everyone is screaming to be seen, the one who chooses calm becomes unforgettable. And when you master restraint in your actions, you begin to control outcomes without ever appearing to try. That is the quiet art of modern power. Lao Tzu once said, "He who conquers others is strong, but he who conquers himself is mighty." Machiavelli would have nodded in agreement, because beneath his ruthless reputation was a deeper, quieter truth. The ultimate power was never about domination. It was about self-mastery. The hidden law of doing less to control more is not merely a political strategy. It's a spiritual discipline, because the one who cannot control his impulses cannot control his destiny. Every empire that collapsed began first with an ungoverned emotion, a burst of anger, an act of pride, an uncontrolled reaction, and every truly powerful ruler, every master of their craft, every serene leader, won not because they forced control outward, but because they first established order within. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." That's the same truth, echoed through centuries. Machiavelli observed it in politics. Lao Tzu expressed it through wisdom. Marcus Aurelius lived it through stoicism. Power is not about movement, it's about stillness. Not about aggression, but awareness. The weak react, the powerful choose. The modern world has misunderstood strength. It confuses noise with influence, speed with intelligence, and visibility with authority. But look closer, and you'll see that every person who truly commands respect moves slowly, deliberately, as if time bends around them. They're not racing, they're not proving, they're not begging to be understood, because they understand themselves. This is what Lao Tzu called wu-wei, effortless action, the art of doing only what is necessary and allowing the world to respond naturally to your energy. It's not laziness, it's alignment. A deep knowing that the universe moves best when you stop forcing your will upon it. Sun Tzu, in The Art of War, revealed the same paradox. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Machiavelli understood that principle in human terms. The greatest leaders don't fight every battle. They win through presence, through patience, through psychological gravity. Their restraint becomes magnetic. Their composure becomes control. You see, restraint is not suppression. It's refinement. It's the transformation of raw emotion into pure focus. It's the ability to look chaos in the eye and not flinch, to hold your silence when others lose their composure, to act not from fear but from clarity. That is what separates power from impulse, wisdom from reaction. It's the moment you realize that control over others is temporary, but control over yourself is eternal. When you begin to live this way, your energy changes. People can feel it. They can sense the quiet power in your presence, the calm that cannot be shaken, the stillness that commands attention without demanding it. Because in a world addicted to reaction, the one who remains composed becomes unexplainably powerful. You no longer need to prove, persuade, or chase. You simply are. And that being, that still self-contained awareness, is what every philosopher from Lao Tzu to Marcus Aurelius to Machiavelli himself was ultimately pointing toward. The paradox of power is this: the more you let go, the more control you gain. The more you withhold, the more influence you create. The less you do, the more the world moves around your stillness. Because true power has never been about doing more. It has always been about being more. The world will always tell you that power comes from effort, that the louder you speak, the faster you move, the more you prove, the more control you'll have. But Machiavelli, and every true master of strategy, knew the opposite. Power doesn't belong to the loudest. It belongs to the stillest. It belongs to the one who can stand in silence while others rush to speak, to the one who can wait while others burn their energy in motion, to the one who moves last and moves everything. Doing less isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's not about inaction but intention, not about passivity but precision. You stop acting out of fear and start moving from clarity. You begin to understand that restraint is not about holding back. It's about holding power. This is the transformation. You no longer react to life, you respond to it. You no longer chase control, you attract it. Because true control is never seized. It's invited. When you embody this law, when you begin to do less but mean more, something subtle shifts in the world around you. Opportunities begin to come to you. People begin to listen when you finally speak, and life starts to move in rhythm with your calm. This is the hidden law Machiavelli understood. The less you do, the more you direct. The quieter you become, the louder your influence grows. And the moment you stop trying to control everything, you finally begin to control yourself. That's where all power begins. So I ask you now, are you ready to stop overreaching? Are you ready to practice strategic restraint? To move less, but with purpose, to speak less, but with power, to act less, but with mastery? If this message awakened something in you, write in the comments, I choose strategic restraint. Because once you understand this law, you stop chasing power and start becoming it. If this message gave you a new way to see power, a quieter, deeper kind of power, the kind that moves worlds without noise, then take a moment now to honor it. Like this video, not for the algorithm, but as a small act of awareness, a signal that you understand, that you've chosen precision over pressure, stillness over struggle, restraint over reaction. And if you want to keep walking this path, the path of timeless strategy, inner mastery, and silent strength, then subscribe to this channel. Here we rediscover the wisdom of history's greatest minds, Machiavelli, Marcus Aurelius, Sun Tzu, Lao Tzu, and translate their truths for the modern world. Because in an age of noise, those who understand the power of silence will always lead.